Hi, this is Brad Thomas with Gold Boys, here to give you a college football slate of bets. That's right, I'm back giving college football bets, but before I get into them, I want to thank our sponsors. I want to let you know if you bet $5 on any of these bets and your bet wins, you can win up to $150 in bonus bets. The link is in the description. Let's go ahead and get into things. And as you guys know, I'm probably your resident Alabama lover, and I want to get into a bet. I've given this out a couple times, but I feel like everyone needs to hear it, and it needs its own standalone. I'm going to go with Alabama at Wisconsin in the play. The very first play I'm giving out, Jam Miller, longest run over 18 and a half yards. So when we think about what's going to happen in this game or who is going to win, I'd imagine that Alabama, their pathway to victory, lean on the running game, right? They have a two-headed monster in Jam Miller and Justice Haynes. Both guys equally great. Gillespie, the running back coach, said, we're going to give them equal carries until one guy gets hot. I think that one guy who's going to get hot is Jam Miller, but I do think it starts out with them at least getting their 10 carries. Why I like longest rush, two reasons. First and foremost, let's forget about the other team and let's talk about Jam Miller's profile. Jam Miller has hit over 19 in the longest rush in both games so far this season. He's hit it in, 3 of his last 4 to end the season last year. What I like about this bet, too, is the offensive line and the home run hitting ability that Kalen DeBoer in this offense creates. They struggled to run the ball effectively early in the game last week because they had a makeshift line. They had to move Booker over to left tackle. They had to move Formby in as the backup right tackle. Penalties, holds, they couldn't get push. But then they bring Pritchard back in, the guy who was out. And in those instances, Jam Miller had a bunch of chunk runs, doing what he does best, getting to the outside and going down the field. Well, now he plays against a Wisconsin team who in 2 games have given up a ton of chunk runs. I think Alabama is going to run the ball and try to run it down their throats. They're going to be aggressive and they're going to be violent. And I think Jam Miller is exactly the guy you want to be on for over 18 and a half longest rush. And let's go to another play. I'm going to my well of plays that I absolutely like. We might as well stay in this game. I'm going to probably give you guys 3 or 4 plays, but I want to stay in this game because there's a prop we need to talk about. It's Kobe Prentice. So last week, Kobe Prentice, I gave out under 68 and a half receiving yards. Kobe Prentice was 4th in the pecking order behind Bernard, behind Ryan Williams, behind K-Law. Boom. Well, some things happened. K-Law looks like he might have dropped down in the pecking order to maybe drop to 4th. Kobe Prentice saw a lot of time on that field. Also, Cole Adams got hurt, probably not going to play in this game. Well, the book said 68 and a half was just way too high. Yeah, we cashed that with ease. They went out and dropped him at 28 and a half. 28 and a half. The disrespect. Jalen Milroe, as much trash talk as people say about him, he's actually been a pretty effective deep ball passer. And what it looks like with Kalen DeBoer and Sheridan calling plays, they're going to take more chances. Average yards per target for Mr. Kobe Prentice, about 16. He's hit over 28 and a half receiving yards in both games. And with now bumping up maybe 2 spots in the pecking order and getting a lot more snaps, over 28 and a half receiving yards is just too low. Because realistically, even if he might only get 5 or 6 targets, it just takes 2 catches at about 15 yards a pop for him to actually hit this. Let's move over to another one. Giving out wide receiver overs is kind of sketchy, right? You don't want to do it too often. But there's one player who's crushed his prop in back-to-back weeks. Ole Miss, Wake Forest. Okay, let's talk about this guy. Mr. Trey Harris, one of the best wide receivers in the entire country. Trey Harris's line is set at 78 and a half. Yeah, you heard that right. 78 and a half, which is the same number that it was last week. Funny thing about this game is Ole Miss, they do not care. They do not care if they're up by 30, 40, or 50. They're going to run their offense, and they're going to get their guys their reps until the end of the game, until the game is, winding down. Trey Harris, he's hit his prop over in back-to-back games. 70, 170, 30, 130. Back-to-back games, he's had in the hundreds. It's been absolutely phenomenal from Trey Harris. And what's funny is, they bring in Juice Wells. He's dealt with some injuries, but I don't think Juice Wells is going to be the volume guy that Trey Harris is. Trey Harris not only leads the team in receptions, he leads the team in targets. That's right, 20 targets in 2 games. Jackson Dart's throwing him the ball. Listen, if you guys want to get a little frisky, you can go ahead and ladder that bad boy up to 120 receiving yards. It's sitting at plus 265. Let me give you one more play, right? We spend all week making all these plays. Let's find a fun one. Okay, here we go. Georgia, Kentucky. Georgia first quarter spread. Georgia minus 6.5. I put a half a unit on it. Brock Vandagriff, former Georgia quarterback, is now in Kentucky, and I don't think that this Kentucky team is very good. First and foremost, they lose their offensive coordinator. Cohen goes to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When Cohen was there, that offense was really nice. He actually at one point led the SEC in points per game. Well, they play against a Georgia team who's stacked in the secondary, so I don't think that a guy who already is really bad, I think he had 30 passing yards in his last game against South Carolina, is going to be throwing the ball on this secondary. They also struggle to run the ball. I think Georgia going to pin their ears back. They're going to load the box, stack the box, and say, I dare you to beat me. Georgia wants to get off to an early start. Why? Because they play Alabama in 2 weeks. They have their bye week, then they play Alabama. They want to start early, start fast, and they want to be able to get some rest for their guys late in the fourth quarter. Kentucky hasn't fared well against Georgia. They've been shut out or scored less than 7 points in a ton of their most recent games. Georgia cover this one. Those are the bets I have for you, but make sure you check me out on X at Mr. BradThomas. And thank you once again to our sponsors. But before you leave, make sure you smash that like button, rate and subscribe. And last but not least, comment your favorite play of the weekend.